video, I will be covering the 2022 French presidential election. So without further ado, let's get right into today's prediction. Also, timestamps are in the pinned comments because this video is going to be relatively long and there's going to be different parts you can skip around within the video. So yeah. But first off, let's thank all of you for 200 subscribers. We're now at 206 subscribers. Just 3 days ago, we were at 200. So thanks so much for all of your support. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. And also, I want a new channel logo and a new channel banner because it just doesn't look very professional. If you have one of them, new channel banner or new channel logo, just post them in the replies here. If your new channel banner and new channel logo are chosen, I will give you a shout out in every single one of my videos in the description and another follower on Twitter as well as that one more subscriber on YouTube. So, yeah. But without further ado, let's get right into today's coverage as of right now. So I'm going to start with the 2017 election. Now, if you're wondering how French conducts its elections, why there are 2 rounds, in the first round, it doesn't really miss time to decide the winner. It's really that you need to get at least 50% of the vote in the first round to avoid that second round runoff. So it's sort of like the runoff system. And in 2017, Emmanuel Macron got 24% of the vote, Marine Le Pen got 21%, and there were 2 other candidates that got 20% and 19.6%. So it was a very close race. It could have been any of these 4 candidates that went into the top 2, but it was Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen. And the second round, basically, there were only 2 candidates, so one candidate has to get 50% because of math, and really, Marine Le Pen did very poorly. She only got 33.9%. Emmanuel Macron basically got 2 out of the 3 votes. He did very well in the Paris area and a lot of cities down here. And yeah, this was a very good performance for him. You can see in the regions, he won every single region in the France election. And look at the polls here. I will take opinion polling. It wasn't actually that far off. You can see that Le Pen actually had a lead in 2017 for most of the campaign, and Filton actually did very well in the polls until it tightened in the last few weeks, and Macron did end up having the edge over all the other candidates. And the polls were quite correct. Now, they actually underestimated Macron the second round. He was getting a boost, though, leading up to the election, so I think that's why, probably, that the polls underestimated Macron, but it was by decently significant margins, about by 4 points on both sides. But yeah, the polls, I don't expect them to be spot on. This is actually decent. And yeah, so much of the opinion polling, you can see that, these were the electorate, so we shouldn't take much into these, but you can see that Macron's party was by the first round presidential vote. Basically, all of these candidates have voted for a different political party. I believe the 2 large political parties that got a lot of the vote, most of them split for Macron. You can see, wow, that's basically all the other parties split up for Macron, and only this FN party, which is Le Pen's party, went to Le Pen. You can see very left wing, center, rather right wing, even the rather right wing area chose Le Pen and chose Macron, which is quite interesting. And the left subtotal, Macron got 92% of the vote, while for the right subtotal, so Le Pen won the area, but only by 6. That's why she lost in such a large defeat. But this time, it's going to be likely very different. Now, looking at this, in the first round, it was a 3-horse race, basically. Emmanuel Macron as the incumbent, no surprise here, he did very well. This third candidate here, he did very well in the Paris area, but because Paris is so populated, he was able to get 22% of the vote, actually, and was within 2 points of defeating Marine Le Pen, so there was only a difference of 1.2%. Emmanuel Macron, as expected, got 27.48% of the vote, and it won the first round votes. But look at this. I think that, again, Macron did have the win, but for an incumbent, this might not exactly be a large win he might have wanted. And right now, the polls are actually pretty tight. We'll get to that in a second. Again, the second round results here. So, we're gonna go right here. So, the election is just within 1 day and 7 hours, so it's right around the corner, and by the time I upload this video, it's gonna be within 20 hours of the election. So, yeah. And yeah, so we have gone over all the background. We can finally go to the opinion polling, and the opinion polling was pretty accurate. You can see that Le Pen had a very large surge leading up to election, and I think this candidate as well also got a very large surge. He actually did much better than many expectations, while Macron, after the Ukraine invasion, dropped pretty significantly. So yeah, also Le Pen actually had the lead in February of 2021. But looking at the polling here, I think after the debates, Le Pen dropped. Le Pen was doing pretty well at the start. She dropped and dropped and dropped until she was around 43%, 44%, and then she redeemed herself, dropped even more as Macron was starting to handle Ukraine, and then dropped because of the Ukraine crisis aging out poorly, and then Macron took back the lead. So yeah, most polls do expect him to win. Looking at the polls right now, it is Macron at 55%. In fact, I believe basically all the polls have Macron up, except for one right here. You can see the blue dot above the yellow dot, but otherwise here, even some Republican internals or those Le Pen internals have Macron up above Le Pen, and right now it's about a 10% difference. That being said, the last election, with Macron not being the incumbent, the results difference was 35%. Now, I do want to stress here that the polls underestimated Macron, but I don't think that's likely going to happen, especially because Macron is actually the incumbent. So, and yeah, also Le Pen has gone very extreme, and extremists, typically speaking, get underrated in the polls. Look at the first round here, you can just compare it. The polls actually was pretty accurate on the second round. Another reason why the polls, I think, would be decently accurate. Looking at the difference here, this was pretty spot on, to be honest. I mean, it was pretty good, the polling here. Macron was at 28, Le Pen was at 23, and McConnell was at 22. All of them surged in the end because of Macron's drop after the Russia invasion. And yeah, so let's really just get into my prediction here. Also, before we do get into that, we can see that I think, Le Pen's party and Macron's party, they are doing very well. The other parties, yeah, they are not doing too much. Social Democrats are ahead at 9% of the other candidates, but other parties, but yeah. This is basically the polls. You can see it's really just a two-horse race, 26% to 25%. Also, these polls, they don't really have that undecided option. And yeah, finally, I look at Penguin Politics newsletter. It is on Substack, so do follow him on Substack if you want for more of these updates. So yeah, some things I want to highlight here as well. You can see that in the second round, the polls consistently had Macron ahead, but consistently the polls are pretty close. And Macron is at 55 right now. Le Pen's at 45. Looking at the odds here, Le Pen only has a 12 in 100 probability. You might say that's a done deal, but no. Trump only had a 10% chance in 2020 on FiveThirtyEight, and he almost won the election. And in 2016, there was only a 33% chance that Trump was going to win. On FiveThirtyEight, he actually did, and some polling companies put Trump down as low as 5% in 2016, and he did win. So there's definitely, it's really just an odd dice roll. If Le Pen could roll a 6, she can possibly end up winning the election. But yeah, most of these results do have Macron at about 55%. slightly higher in most of these because he's the incumbent, but yeah, the most dots here we see is at about 53%. So yeah, these are the highlights. Former president is now endorsing President Emmanuel Macron, and that is something that's going to help, alright? And yeah, so online supporters said in the second round, the options are was to cast a null or blank ballot, vote Macron or stay home. Voting Le Pen was not an option. So the third place candidate, I think he was actually a socialist Democrat or something. He also got 21% of the 22% of the vote. He said basically, do not vote Le Pen. You can vote Macron or you can stay home. So yeah, that's probably gonna help Macron, but really it just depends on if they end up staying home or do they end up voting Macron, or how much percent that do not listen to this candidate and ends up actually voting Le Pen. Now, this is the overseas voting. You can see most of the overseas actually went to the third place candidate. So yeah. Now, my prediction, there is no interactive map here. The percentage of the vote, so the percentage of the vote I give to Emmanuel Macron is 53.8% of the vote. This is my prediction, 53.8% of the vote for Emmanuel Macron, and 46.2% of the vote for Marine Le Pen. That is lower than what the polls say, but because Emmanuel Macron is the incumbent, I think he is going to do a little bit worse than the polls, alright? Not much worse, I'd say. The polls, I think, will be generally speaking accurate. In this election, it was accurate in the first round. It was decently accurate in the first round in 2017. It wasn't so accurate in the 2017 voting on the second round, but I still think I'm going to relatively trust the polls, but I think Emmanuel Macron will probably decrease a little bit in support. And yeah, so what will the map actually be like? Well, I can't really edit this, but yeah, it's definitely not going to be that 2017 result. I think, looking at this map here, I think this is actually a decent representation. I think Paris will end up going to Emmanuel Macron. Many of these regions and in the middle will end up voting, I think, for Le Pen. Well, Macron, these three regions, I think, will also vote Le Pen. Down here, I think Le Pen could make inroads in Lyon, in Bordeaux, in all of these areas, but I think it's just not going to be enough, alright? Macron is the incumbent. He has that name recognition. And in wartime in Ukraine, I think people are just going to unite for their leader, and that's why Macron's probably going to win, alright? Again, if you just skip to the end of this video, thanks for watching today's video. 53.8% for Macron, 46.2% for Le Pen. That is my prediction. Thanks for watching today's video. Do make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys on the next video about 2020. The 2022 midterms and the 2024 presidential election in the United States. Thanks for watching today's video. Subscribe, like, and comment. Also, make sure to make me a channel banner and maybe subscribe to Penguin Politics on Substack. The link to both of these items will be in the pinned comments. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye!